organization, I'll say it's really not. We're spending about almost $40,000 a year on food. We expect that to go up. Our numbers are going up. Our donations have gone down a bit because people are, not in a good position financially as much as they have been in the past. We also have a building. We have a building to keep up. It's an older building. There's no frills, I can assure you, and I would actually invite anybody here to come to one of our food pantries and see what we do for people and see our building. It's clean, it's adequate, but it's old and it's not fancy. We've had to do some upkeep with electrical. We have a walk-in cooler. We have all kinds of refrigerators, and we need to have money on hand for an emergency. And that's basically the way we look at that money. A food emergency, a building emergency, anything can come up. And the last thing I'll say is the $15,000 that we asked for from the town is basically our security. We know exactly that that's coming in, whereas the rest of our sources, we really don't know. It varies from year to year. At $15,000, so that effect on somebody who has a house assessed at $100,000 on your tax bill, that's $2.47 a year. I think that's probably the best $2.47 you could possibly spend, in my opinion, helping your neighbors in need, and there are a lot of them. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
You say that people come in, they do an application and they go through screening.
Mm-hmm.
Does that in any way, or can that be used as a first step for further benefits with the state? So someone comes in and they fill out an application with you, is that then connected to the state where they can then qualify for state benefits? Or SNAP benefits?
Don't believe, actually, Anita.
The answer is actually no, except that we also have a social worker who will connect them. So part of the application is to check those benefits, so that if they qualify but don't get them, we can help them get them.
Gotcha, perfect. So it could be a first step for some. Yeah. The other question I have is on the food that you buy, is there a nutritionist? Is there state guidelines?
The USDA has guidelines, and we're, they govern us, so we go by their guidelines.
My big concern during the budget process was I was unaware of an application, and that it is just for Johnsburg residents.
Right, yeah, we're not just handing out food to whoever shows up. I mean, we do give them an emergency box where we can't turn anyone away,
Absolutely.
but no, we send them to the appropriate place.
Awesome. Thank you.
For your summer program for the kids, how are you getting 60 plus kids to their meals?
So we have volunteers that put we put boxes together, and then they're lined up, and the parents come on the food pantry days and pick them up, and so they bring them home with them.
Thank
What is your total budget? I'm hearing enough money so far that doesn't even come up to 50%. Obviously, you're an employee and you get paid.
We have, it's the old Gus's, where Gus's was, the bar in Weavertown. That's our building. Well, not the motel, that's separate and that's owned by somebody private. The restaurant building has been our outreach center for over a decade. Yes.
$15,000
That's what we asked for to supplement our food purchasing.
Sounds pretty cheap to me, but that's not more on it.
Anybody else?
So Sue, you said 49% are adults.
Uh,
Is that the number, 49%?
Let me give you the 49% working adults,
Working adults.
29% children, 22% seniors.
So, a lot of studies have shown that working adults who face that food insecurity are more likely to miss days of work, not be productive. So from my perspective, I see that $15,000 as an economic investment in our community to make sure that those working adults can go to work and be productive.
Absolutely, and not worry
Absolutely.
about how they're going to feed their children because they don't have enough money to go around.
And as a teacher at the school, I know exactly what that backpack program means to those students. So thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. Wait, there's somebody else.
So I have a quick question. So what would it take to, instead of providing food pantry twice a month, to do it once a week? You ever looked into what additional funding would be required, or could we use some of your cash that's on hand for that?
Anita, I'm going to direct that to you.
It would double our budget. And it appears to be that the twice a month is able, is enough to supplement the families. They are able to call in between, should they get hungry, should their furnace break down, and use their food budget to call for an emergency food allotment anytime. So at this point, I don't believe it's needed. I think we're doing okay.
And we're supplemental too, so we're not providing them their whole week's worth of food or their 2 weeks worth of food.
There will always be people when they're.
Right.
Are there any other programs you're looking to maybe start establishing with some of the?
Well, we're pretty much a volunteer-run organization with a part-time employee, so there's probably things we'd like to do, but right now we're doing this pretty well, so we don't want to stretch ourselves too thin or, risk what we're doing, I would say. Any of you want to chime in on that?
I know it's, I do the backpack program, and to shop for 60 to 66 kids every week. That's 5 cases of everything. And not to get it at Tom, it's too expensive. So we'll stop at Dollar Tree, Dollar General, all these. 10 for 10 is we're the 10 for 10 ladies at Park Shop's got 10 for 10.
They're
Our husbands with us.
they're the best shoppers in the world.
And it's just, we started off a couple years ago, 40 kids. Now with this many, it's like, you need a good size SUV just to go shopping for one Friday. So it's hundreds of miles.
And these ladies don't get reimbursed for mileage. They don't get paid anything. They do it. They do it because that's what we do. That's our mission. So, there's no money being wasted on, or if it was considered wasted, on mileage or anything like that. We don't own a company vehicle. I mean, these people are doing this on their own time, out of the goodness of their hearts, and it's a lot of time.
I just looked at your tax returns, right? So you have that's amount of cash.
No, they don't.
Like 380.
No, that's an endowment, that's an endowment fund.
So
But that endowment fund, having spent time in that world, I mean, basically it's there, it kicks off a percentage. Like if it makes 8 or 9%, they're allowed to spend 4, and the rest of the money goes back into the endowment to grow it. But that's the sum total of what they're allowed to use,
right. So
because that's how it's set up.
Right, that's right. So we have that, and then we have the 2 T-bills that amount to 130,000. But, we are keeping that there in case we need it because our food costs are going way up, and we don't know, I know we have to have some electrical work done on the building. We have a lot of equipment plugged in there. So I think we feel like we need to have that money there. I mean, well, obviously we'll spend some of it, but in case of some emergency coming up, which it could.
I have another question. What's the average family income in the town of Johnsburg?
Anita, do you have that in your,
You have a lot of discussion with your members in order for them to qualify. What are the
I don't know.
5,000 for a family of four.
That's the average of what people are making in town?
County says it is.
Okay, that sounds a little high, but maybe not.
20% of the
One of the other things that we do is that the organization does only delivers to places that people that can't get there.
Yes,
And that's vital.
yes. And so, yeah, so Tony is one of our volunteers. He's fantastic. He also does work around our building, so we don't always have to hire somebody to do it. He's amazing. And he drives every pantry anywhere in town to deliver food if people don't have transportation. And transportation is a huge issue in this town, huge. So again, his own time, he's, he puts in a lot for us too. So, thanks.
And it should be pointed out how Anita has set it up if people haven't gone. It's like you're grocery shopping. It's really amazing what Anita has done. It's not that you're being handed a bag of food that's been pre-picked out for you. It's this really amazing, humanizing experience of you don't feel like you're getting charity. You are walking through, you're shopping. So I think that that is an amazing thing that you have done, Anita.
Thank you. I mean, at least gives people some dignity.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
wonderful.
You should know that we also encourage our recipients to.
Yes, this is huge.
To volunteer.
Yes.
So some of our volunteers are actually recipients, so that they're giving back what they get, and that's also wonderful.
It's like having the students pack.
Exactly. So really, anybody that wants to come to one of our food pantries, see how we work, see how great our volunteers are, and you'll see that we really, we have something special going on. We really do. And we're trying to help. Things aren't getting any easier, so. Is that it? Oh,
Is the Washington, so-called government in Washington, are they on your case? Are they trying to push you out of town or anything?
oh, no, they're not. We have been affected by some of the federal cuts to the regional food bank. So, their food isn't quite, sometimes they don't have things that we need. So we go out and buy them. But so far we haven't. We don't get grants from the federal government. So that wouldn't directly affect us in that way. True. Tony?
Do you have a office program with restaurants or grocery stores that items that are not selling and they're coming up on expiration days or expiry days that they do that?
We don't.
Ocean State John Block
Yeah.
now has we were left with a box in the front, Ocean State John Block, that's the only one that, and actually Tom's we have a box, there's a food pantry. So it's donations by people that go there.
Actually, it's really, also, the open door in Glens Falls collects from local supermarkets to rotate the food. And they send that up to the church on Route 28 outreach. And they pack it and send it to all of the Glenwood Country pantries. But that does, Dale food lots with Panera bread and other very good things that we can get through those.
All right. I think I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
All right. Let's call this meeting to order. Town of Johnsburg, October 21st, 2025. I'm going to make a couple comments to start the meeting. Back in 2023, I'm not sure if I was a candidate or not, in this room, board was working on a resolution, and Jeff Conus was a couple seats in front of me and waving his arm, trying to get people's attention. And the resolution that was before them was about the tearing down of the old water tower. They did not ask Jeff to speak. They went ahead and passed the resolution. At privilege of the floor, Jeff got up and said, the only reason that I was interested in speaking before you passed the resolution was because the question I have is, do we know if there was any lead paint involved, given the age of the water tower? Now, all the board members looked a little surprised, and I'm not sure just exactly what took place. But that for me was an aha moment. The other thing that I would say that as I looked at getting into this crazy position, I believe a town our size, that local government should be participatory, that people should have an opportunity to speak. With that said, I've got to say, the last meeting was a little tough. I am and I will say this, I am a fervent, and I'm going to repeat that, fervent believer in the First Amendment. People have the right to say what they want to say. Looking at some interesting case law, the only way someone gets removed from a town meeting is by clapping, stomping their feet, raising a ruckus, cussing. So even though what took place may have been a bit disappointing, I still believe that the way we run these meetings is the appropriate way to run this town. I think that there are people here that have ideas and thoughts that might be able to shed a little bit of light before we pass a resolution. And so therefore, I believe we should continue to do things the way we're doing them. Interestingly enough, at the county, and I'm Supervisor Goodspeed can speak to this, basically the public has the opportunity, privilege of the floor at the beginning of the meeting, and they have privilege of the floor at the end of the meeting, and that's it. Talking with Gene, we don't have to do any of that. But that's not the way I want to run things. I believe that we give everybody an opportunity to speak their mind and say what they need to say. I would ask, implore, if you're frustrated by what you're seeing or hearing, can you please save it for privilege of the floor or do a sidebar conversation at the end of the meeting? Thank you. All right, first on the agenda, resolution to accept meeting minutes from October 7th. I need a motion to bring this to the floor, please.
Motion?
Any conversation or questions? Seeing none, call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution to accept resolution to acknowledge changes between tentative and preliminary budgets. Has everybody looked at this?
I have.
Jim, yes? Okay. Paul?
Yep.
Okay. Motion to bring this to the floor, please.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution to set public hearing for preliminary budget. I need a motion to bring this to the floor.
Motion?
Second.
Okay, any conversation or questions?
Can we share it with the public just so they know the time?
Yeah, it is basically the 6th of, I'm sorry, I'm not going through this. one.
November 6th, 6:30 PM.
Okay.
And because of election, that's going to be before our regular, correct?
Yes.
All right, so
Yep.
that's going to be for our regular meeting.
All right. Any other conversations or concerns? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Resolution to recognize 2015 Ford F-350 for surplus equipment to authorize Director of PPP to sell at public auction. This is a pickup truck that needed about $10,000 worth of work and a lot of it electronics. And we figured it made more sense for us to go in a different direction and get a new vehicle. So I need a motion to bring this to the floor, please.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Any other concerns or questions? Seeing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Resolution to award fuel heating contract. Motion to bring this to the floor, please.
Motion?
Second.
Any questions on this contract or for fuel oil? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor? Oop, good? No?
I was just
Okay.
gonna say there was only one bid, so
Yep,
we have one choice.
yep. All right.
Did you vote?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Resolution to award town building propane bid. And this bid is for Superior Plus Propane. Need a motion to bring this to the floor, please?
Motion?
Second.
Okay, any questions or concerns about this resolution? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, resolution to place ads for appointed positions, and this basically is for health officer, safety officer, zoning enforcement officer, animal control officer, water clerk, and sewer clerk. Need a motion to bring this to the floor, please?
Motion?
Second.
Okay,
And these are, you're the zoning
Yeah.
CEO?
yeah,
Okay.
and really, for the most part, most of these people are probably gonna end up, we're gonna end up with the same folks,
Okay.
so. Any other questions or concerns? Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we're going to move to the supervisor's report. The only thing that I'm going to probably point out here is, and again, Danae, it's that the negative in the, as far as the comprehensive plan, is that a negative 12,000? Is that right, about that right?
Yes, because we paid the last bill and I forgot to pull the money out of my file.
Got it.
So I have to pull it out, but since I didn't do it, September, it shows on there. So that was the final payment and now we are just.
Waiting.
Yep, we can't pay anybody. Okay. So I need a motion to bring the supervisor's report to the floor.
Motion?
Second?
Okay. Any other concerns or questions? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And next is warrants. Need a motion to bring warrants to the floor, please.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, is there anything on the warrants that people see that concerns them? Seeing none, call for vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We are on to committee reports. Mr. Hyde.
Not much activity since last meeting. I believe, Peter, we're probably before next meeting, we'll have a solid waste committee meeting.
If not a meeting, there will at least be a report.
Okay.
from the committee.
All right.
Kind of check in where we are on revenue expenses. Pretty much done with projects up there for the year.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah, things are running smoothly. I have people tell me things are nice up there. It's good to see and good to hear.
So while not officially a town committee, the Town of Johnsburg Community Development Corporation has reached out to Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board and the county to attend our next meeting to discuss how they may work with us as we move forward with the next steps with the New York Forward Grant. As we have said, that works well with the comprehensive plan that the town has adopted. Nothing is official, nothing is set in stone. Everything would go through a public comment period going through the board, but it does make sense to work with the Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board as a potential grant writer, maybe. It's just seeing if they would look at where we are, maybe talk to us a little bit, but nothing outside of that to report.
Marketing?
No, nothing for marketing.
So I'm wondering, we put 25,000 aside to market Johnsburg in the spring because of concerns with the summer traffic. This was supposed to be independent of a tri-state marketing plan, and now we're going into the winter and we don't have any marketing. So I'm wondering where we're at on that, and we have 25,000 to market the town.
We don't have, we're sort of in a holding pattern still, and I don't think that a town, again, marketing committee of unprofessional should be using that money.
So should we be moving to hiring a marketing person? thought that's what our
Well,
goal was then, when we put the money aside.
well, I think we had talked about that money potentially being used to work with those two other towns for the ultimate goal of a tri-town marketing person. And so that is the conversation. And I did have a meeting with that group. Things are moving along. I'd actually like Lily and Christine to come and talk about where that presentation is. But I don't think hiring somebody individually, separate from that group, is the direction that I would go in.
We should probably set a meeting
We
at some
should.
point. Okay.
And am I correct that the North Warren Chamber person that was hired is no longer there?
That is correct.
That is correct.
So who do we have to work with?
Well, we have the people who are there who are also on the Tri-Town branding initiative. All
Right.
of those people cross over.
Right, and that's what the 50,000 per individual town was for. So, I go right back to, we need to not be tied to other towns' marketing. We need to market our town, and we need to do it because our town needs it right now.
Well, we also need to pay to play to be a part of that group. So we have to set money aside to be a part of that group. So we put $25,000 aside. That money also needs to be thought about how that's going to be a part of that group and pay to play. So we absolutely need to have a meeting, but to just hire a group and market ourselves independently when there is actually a group that has been working on something for 8 months, those things don't need to happen separately. They could also happen together.
Yes, Kelly? Town,
Tri-Town.
Tri-Town.
Initiative, is also makes us stronger within the county. Because the county has to recognize that we are as strong as, or close to being as strong as Lake George. And Lake George is bugaboo, and everything goes Lake George. Even when you go to apply for a Warren County grant, they ask you how is this gonna help Lake George, and it's ridiculous. So, I think the purpose of this tri-town initiative is to make us a more solid group that has to be reckoned with. And we bring in, of course, all the numbers of people support it, which is also helpful. I think we should support this effort as much as possible.
And
I
the
don't,
last-
I don't disagree with that, Kelly, at all. I still think, though, I think we need to look at how we market Johnsburg, and get the word out. And it's, for me, I don't know how much, I've always been of the opinion that in the wintertime, certainly we've got all the skiing, but you have trailheads all over the place. We should be, getting people here to go snowshoeing, for crying out loud, or cross-country skiing. We've got to find other things other than just, downhill skiing, because not everybody comes to downhill ski in the winter. And I think we need to do the same thing when it comes to the rest of the town and all the hamlets, as far as marketing, what we can do, whether it's mountain biking, hiking, whatever the case may be. So
And
again,
to Kelly's point, that conversation came up very much at the last meeting.
Oh.
A decision was almost made, I would say, about the direction of the signage and the design. You have a lot of people in the room talking and having conversations about it, but that conversation about strength in numbers with the county and advertising was huge. So I think we should all get moving to marketing, but we were waiting for those conversations to be at a point where we could really bring something to the table, right? And I am reticent to move ahead completely separately and do something that is completely different from the efforts that have been made with these three towns that have been working on it really hard, and just totally do our own thing. I think there can be a parallel path. And I also think we have to recognize that while we have that $25,000 and we can do some of our own marketing, we are going to have to put some money into the pot to participate.
to market all three,
Yes. Yes, so that is something that we have talked about before. So there's going to need to be a conversation about how that money is divvied up as well.
Yeah, I don't think we need to be one or the other. I think
That's what parallel paths mean.
absolutely, it does, absolutely. But right now, we don't have a parallel path. We have one path.
No,
And-
no, Jim, I think you misunderstood. That path is coming together because things have just in the last couple of weeks dialed in. So until that point, we haven't had a conversation that we can bring back to the board. So right now, we have something that's almost dialed in, and then we're going to be able to do that. So it was just a little bit of patience and waiting until we had something. So I agree with Kevin that we could sit down and look at that money.
Can we get them to present?
That's what, yes, I would like Christine and Lily, because they have been a part of it more than I have. And I think we just need a little, I think they're almost ready to present us with something, but they could talk about the process far better than I could, because I've sort of been a little bit in the background.
Okay.
For sure. And I can reach out to Christine and Lily about that.
So I sat down with Arnold and Pete with Office of the Aging, D Parks, and with John Taflin on October 15th. John Taflin's a county administrator. Yep. And with the idea that after, and dear heavens, I'm trying to remember when we visited Lake Luzerne, but I think it was springtime. So as we got into the conversation, what we were looking for was for the county to provide us with some money that we could then use to operate our own meal site, as well as a dollar amount per meal. And Ms. Parks looked at me and said, we're not doing that model any longer. And I'm like, okay, so what model are we using? We're willing to give you $10 per meal, which, so it was not a very productive meeting, to say the least. It was pretty disappointing. But I also, I've got to give some kudos to Pete. Pete crunched some numbers, came to me and said, I think this is about what it's costing the county to operate this site. And so what I did is I reached out to someone I know at the county, and if I can confirm that, I'm going to go back to the county administrator and say, look, if this is what it's costing you to operate the meal site, we got to find a way we can do this without it being $10 a meal, because we can't, that's impossible for us. It's not going to work. So although disappointing, I think there's a window, very, slight a chance we might be able to get something done. I'm not going to hold my breath. I was hoping for better news, but they hold the purse strings that I can't get my fingers on right now.
In other words, it costs $10 per meal that you serve.
They would give us $10 for every meal we served. Yes, that is correct.
Do you know?
Pete, did you want to, please, you were there.
Just to put some context to it, Kelly, the $10 per meal is what they're willing to give us. But that would also mean that the town of Johnsburg begins to bear 100% of the cost
Yeah, that's right.
of operating our meal site. So that is staff, food, all utilities. Currently, the county reimburses us at 85% of the electrical usage for that building, which is relatively high compared to other buildings in town, because we do have electric heat there. So just in electricity alone, it runs around $7,500 a year. We average 6 to 8 people a day at the meal site for meals. I'm guessing they would pay us for the home delivered meals too, so that'll push that number up a bit. But you're talking about a total of, I don't know, maybe $30,000 a year. We couldn't staff it with one person part-time for $30,000 a year, let alone pay for the utilities, pay for the upkeep of the building, pay for the food that we're purchasing, pay for the equipment, because they made it very clear, the equipment that is there belongs to them, not to the town.
it was very disappointing, to say the least. The good news that came out of that meeting was that we do not expect there to be any further reduction or changes to what the meal site is currently, or what the county, I should say, is currently providing at our meal site. So for 2026, my recommendation to Kevin and to the board, to Arnold, who chairs our seniors committee, is we leave the meal program where it is. We've already started down a path looking towards how we can improve transportation, both locally and for seniors going south to appointments and grocery shopping and whatnot. We put our money towards programming and trying to get our numbers up at the meal site. And hopefully, over time, we can make a case for the county to start doing a little more for us if we can get those numbers up. But right now, it would not be feasible or financially responsible for the town board to entertain a change to the way that our meal program is being offered. The burden to the taxpayers would be humongous.
Significant, yes. Very disappointing, but, again. So that was the, my committee report for the seniors since, yes, ma'am.
I just, I help deliver meals, and, there's just a couple things I wanted to say, is, when Warrensburg had a garage sale, no meals were delivered in the town of Johnsburg, because Warrensburg was too busy. We couldn't, that couldn't happen. The other thing is, the person who now, and who has been running the meal program, is so fed up, that she's about to quit. And so, where are we gonna be then?
Ma'am, I wish I could answer that question. I mean, we'll have to cross that bridge again, guys. This isn't for lack of trying. It's not for lack of trying. I mean, after having a couple of conversations with Gene Merlino, with Arthur and with Arnold, that's why we went down this road, because we wanted to take it over. They are making it impossible for us to take it over. I mean, literally impossible. Unless somehow somebody drops a whole ton of money on this town just for the meal site, I'm just not sure how else we're going to approach this. I did have a conversation with someone at the county, and I'm having them look into if there's a way for us to perhaps kind of skirt some of this stuff. I'm not counting on it, but I hope. I don't even know that Arthur, have we done any of that kind of stuff, or no? I don't think so. No, because we don't, I don't. 30,000 a year.
Yeah, 30,000 a year plus the other staff person.
Right.
Director. So, but they have an average of what, 10, 15 or more?
Oh, and then in the summer times, it's much larger.
Yeah, it's almost 20 plus. So there's not only a scale, but it's also the cost of the cook and the additional staff person. The county does provide reserve with a staff person who is there from 9 in the morning till 12. I would say, Kevin, I sat in on the county office for the Aging Advisory Council this week. And very explicitly, he made a point of Johnsburg meal site that it's not changing. It's either in her mind that she doesn't want to try to fix it, or what, and she was pretty adamant about that in the advisory council.
Well, again, being in that meeting with Taplin and Dee Park, she basically gave us two choices: keep things exactly the way they are now, or take it over completely on the taxpayer's dime, and we'll give you $10 per meal. Those were the only two options. And I would go even further. I kind of called her out on the fact that you have one Luzerne is being offered to keep their paid staff. The county provides the food, the county still owns the equipment, which those town employees, the town chef uses. And they get a $13,000 a year direct payment to supplement the operation of their meal sites. When I was asked why that would not be offered to Johnsburg, the basic answer was, it's too much work. We don't want to manage another.
We're not, yeah, we're not gonna use that model again. It's too much work for us.
And I went further, Mark. I asked her, that contract with Luzerne is good for 2 more years, just like ours is here in Johnsburg. Can the people of Luzerne expect their contract to change and go to a model like ours in 2 years? And she said, no, we will continue to do that for Luzerne, but we would not do that for Johnsburg.
I would say one thing, Kevin, would be, the seniors committee has created a subcommittee that Anita is helping us organize, just for the senior center, to increase the level of activity using OCDT and other kinds of events, starting to bring seniors into the center, at least for events. We're hoping that starts to begin to build the capacity and better use of this. That might lead itself to increase opportunities for meals. But we are starting to do that.
Mr. Williams,
Yeah, sewer, everyone will be happy to hear that tomorrow starts paving. So you saw the cones, I'm sure, up on north side of Main Street. So they'll be starting paving tomorrow. They've repaired the majority of the sidewalks. They'll continue to do more of that. Keller's last bit of work, of course, is pump stations. There's work that remains at Railroad Place because of the contamination. So we're dialing in on all of that with the state. And then the hits keep coming today. Jerson started digging for the big EQ tanks and holding tanks. If you've walked out back, you'll see these massive black plastic tanks that will all be buried. Not too far into their workday, they pulled up some tires, and then they pulled up some metal wire, and then they pulled up some drive shafts and some suspension pieces and parts, and then there was a heavy smell of contaminated soil. So they stopped work. DEC was called. It smells different than down at Railroad Place, where Railroad smelled heavily dieseled. This smells more like gasoline. I am relatively optimistic. We already put the outflow into the river. So just 40 feet away is the outflow. That's been dug up. There was no contamination there. But we meet tomorrow with DEC to take more soil samples and create a plan so that we can get those
just
tanks
keeps
in.
getting better.
So that's the sewer. Lot of discussion last week. I want to do a couple of things. Kelly asked how deep I jumped into the ownership of Joe Minder Lodge. This past week, I jumped into it quite a bit. And I'm going to just go through documentations from 2003 on. So in 2003, there was the first lease agreement with Johnsburg and the town of Orta, or the town of Johnsburg in Orta. And that was to utilize a portion of the property to develop and operate a tubing park. The only buildings, first thing, terms of the lease, that was the first time that our kids, because of this tubing park, got free skiing. So in lieu of monetary consideration, Orta shall pay Johnsburg a fee equivalent to skiing privileges for all the students enrolled in Johnsburg. This lease agreement does not give Orta exclusive access to the closed pavilion, open pavilion, skating rink, parking area, or other lands located adjacent. So this kind of establishes what buildings were there at the time. There was a closed pavilion, an open pavilion, and a skating rink. That was in 2003. In 2006, this was updated with an operating agreement. And it says here, whereas Orta will invest New York State EPF in EDI grant monies and other grant funds or other funds available in the construction of a ski hut and trails and the lodge at Ski Bowl. Orta will own and operate the lodge and lease the lodge to Johnsburg Youth Committee and other special functions from May 1 through October 31st for $1 annually. It goes on in states in section 4 that utilities, that Orta will assume all operating costs, including utility costs of Ski Bowl Base Lodge during the term of this agreement, including Johnsburg's residency. And then it has section 5, specifically Ski Bowl Base Lodge. Johnsburg and Orta will cooperate on the design of the lodge. Grant money awarded to Johnsburg for the lodge project will be transferred to Orta for building, maintaining, and managing this building. And then standards of operations, 10, Orta shall be responsible for all operating costs, maintenance of the facilities, and Orta shall operate and maintain operations of Ski Bowl consistent with Gore and Whiteface. That was the operating agreement in 2006. What I then found was the interpretive statement that must have been given to the board or maybe shared with the public, the Orta Town of Johnsburg Operating Agreement Interpretive Statement. And as it refers to the lodge, it gives insight as to what our founding or what our town leaders thought at the time. This is for the 2006 agreement, right? It says the lodge will be designed jointly by Orta and the Ski Bowl Committee and built with grant monies secured by the town of Johnsburg for that purpose. Orta will own the lodge. This is based on the fact that 1, responsibility for maintaining the facility must be clearly defined. 2, Orta will be building it, and the town of Johnsburg has been clear that they have no interest in owning and maintaining another building. Town of Johnsburg will retain ownership of the land beneath the lodge, and should Orta cease operations in the Ski Bowl, ownership of the building will pass to Johnsburg at no cost. Then there's an APA permit project in 2006 that then was approved in 2008, which discusses the lodge. Now, in this interim, there was a master agreement that had been signed with Front Street in the town of Johnsburg. There was an MOU that was signed with Front Street in Johnsburg for wastewater, and there was a 3-way permit with the APA that included the town of Johnsburg, Front Street, and Orta, which outlined the entire scope of development at Ski Bowl. On page 3 here, the portion of the project addressed by this permit includes the expansion, reopening of the town of North Creek Ski Bowl ski area. The ski area will be completely restored, involving current town lands and lands conveyed to the town from Front Street. Orta will undertake the construction of and will own the ski hut and lifts and will manage the staff of Ski Bowl pursuant to a 20-year operating agreement between the town and Orta. The project will be served by a municipal water system and a new private wastewater treatment plant, plus the attendant. The town and Orta agreement dated August 31st, 2006 specifies that Orta will construct and own the ski hut. A wastewater MOU drafted February 13th, 2007 between the town and Front Street states that Front Street will connect the public ski hut to the private wastewater treatment plant, and Front Street will pay the cost of the treatment. The proposed ski hut will be a 5,000 square foot, 2-story building, including a food concession, a warming area, lockers, ski rental shop, restrooms, ticket office. It will replicate the architecture of the former ski hut that burned in the late 90s. The ski hut may be expanded to 10,000 square foot at some time in the future. The ski hut will be constructed and owned by ORDA. The town recreational department will be allowed access and use of the building during the off-winter months for youth programs. The ski hut will be served by a municipal water system, right? And it goes on to discuss the shared components and everything else. So that was in 2008. Between that time and the construction of Joe Minder Lodge, there was a memo of understanding, and the ski hut that was going to be built in the footprint of the old lodge got moved. And so this is a memorandum of understanding made on this day, December, between the town and the Olympic Regional Development Authority. It says, where Johnsburg is the owner of certain property, including recreational property located in the town of Johnsburg, whereas ORDA utilizes a portion of the property for the purpose of operating a tubing park, whereas ORDA has invested New York State EPF and EDI grant monies and other grant funds available for the construction of ski lifts and trails and the lodge at Ski Bowl pursuant to the operating agreement, where we both place significant value in the project, whereas ORDA has expanded significant funds in the remodeling and renovation and construction of the former closed pavilion located at the property for use as the new ski hut. Whereas because the work request is primarily for the benefit of Johnsburg, ORDA has requested that Johnsburg has agreed to utilize insurance proceeds associated with a fire loss. So somewhere along the line, and I'm not sure when, the originally APA planned ski hut on the hill turned into a remodeled closed pavilion, which became the Joe Minder Lodge, right? Hooked up to the municipal water system, hooked up to Front Street's municipal wastewater. So in the question of who owns Joe Minder Lodge, it's very clear that Joe Minder Lodge is owned by ORDA. Everybody knows that our water district in the past has faced some struggles. There were issues in modernizing our water district from a paper water district to a digital water district. The state controller came in, there was an audit, and several recommendations were made by the state controller. One of those recommendations a lot of people that are in the district weren't happy with. That was charging vacant landowners capital costs and a yearly fee for being in the district while they're not hooked up to help offset capital costs. Gene, 2 years ago, up till beginning of this year, was working as a billing and receiving clerk, trying to get our system up, digitized, all the billing taken care of. We revamped the rules and regulations, and now that work has been continued by Danae and Joanne. So Jean's job got split into 2 jobs. ORDA never, to no fault of their own, never received a water bill for the municipal water that services Joe Minder Lodge. That's not their fault. That's the town's fault. We've gone back. We've made corrections to the water district. The state wanted us to go back and actually back charge people, and we decided not to do that. We decided to just correct billing and move forward. Order received a water bill for the Joe Minder Lodge in April of this year, right? According to the 2017 agreement, the 2009 agreement, they are responsible for all those utilities. Ms. Bowers said last week that she was unaware of some of the decisions that were being made. We have an issue with a water bill. We as a board need to address that issue. Order received 2 bills. One was for engineering for the main lodge. There's money in escrow. That's something that we're going to together sit down and address. They also received a water bill for Joe Minder Lodge. Again, that's the first time that they received it. They're obligated for that water. It was the town's fault that they never got a water bill for the last 10 years, 10, 15 years. So we have a bill now that was in April that hasn't been paid. And we have rules and regulations for the bill. And we have 2 paths that we can follow. It would be great if Order paid their bill. They haven't. We have rules and regulations that state water rent shall be due and payable on the first day of April and October of each year at the office of the collector and water rents. Penalty of 10% will be added for rents not paid within 30 days. All water rents and other charges for service within the water district or outside the water district not paid before November 1 of the year billed will be re-levied on the town of Johnsburg tax roll. The district reserves the right to discontinue water service when rents are overdue beyond 60 days. We can't re-levy a water bill to Orda because they are free of all assessments. So as we look at rules and regulations, their water bill from April is now 10% more. They're getting another one in October. 30 days have passed, 60 days have passed. So we have the option of shutting off the water. Or we can go through the contract, which I think is a much more dangerous move, and I would not want to see, but we can give them a notice of default. And a notice of default is grounds for terminating the contract, and I think that's a horrible route to take. So what do we do?
So are you talking about the Joe Minder Lodge? Them owning
Joe
Lodge?
Minder Lodge.
So have our attorneys made a decision about who owns the Joe Minder Lodge? We have that from our attorneys. I haven't seen that.
Well, I can get it to you.
Okay.
I think from all the documentation that's here on record, filed with the county, it's
Because-
pretty clear.
The attorney, basically, when Jim and I were on with Glenn Bruning, he pointed out one sentence in the contract, and please don't ask me to figure out or remember what it is, but that if he pointed that sentence out to legal counsel at Orda, legal counsel would say, yeah, that Orda owns Joe Minder.
So
That
have-
one sentence, yes.
So have Orda's attorneys and our attorneys sat down and figured this out?
You know what, I know they,
Right, so ownership is secondary to the fact that it says that Orda will pay all utilities, right? So ownership is just a secondary issue that was brought up as a reason that they didn't have to pay the bill. Danae, do you have an exact number on that? I believe it's like $800, $900.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Has there been a precedent that Florida has not been paying the water bill, that they don't have to pay the water bill because the town did not bill, which we agreed for our city to. And didn't pay.
That would be a horrible precedent, actually, because then everybody that didn't get hooked up to the water district, that we build a new home and it never got from a permit to the water district that we've caught and then said, oh, you need to pay, that would be the equivalent. There is no precedent at that. And once you accept service, then you've accepted the rules and regulations. Again, for the board, we have a decision to make. What do we want to do as a board?
What other options are there? Those are the only two? I can hardly see that would be the only two choices.
Well, how do we order to respond to this information?
Kelly, go ahead.
If the town is, there's fault in the, not that you bear,
Mm-hmm.
how about approaching it, would we give discount?
Well, they didn't get a bill for 10 years
Yeah,
and
so
didn't
why
pay the water
discount
bill.
more?
Now they're getting a bill.
Oh, okay.
They've gotten their first bill for water and they haven't paid it.
Forgetting the old bill.
We're forgetting all the old bills.
Yeah, that's,
Yes.
well, and the state controller wanted us to back charge people.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah, no, that's, and that, I think that is wrong.
What is the policy of the town if someone does not pay the water?
It's in their rules and regulations.
And it's basically, we
It's-
have the
it-
right to turn.
You, if they don't pay within 30 days, they get a 10% penalty. If they don't pay in 60 days, we have the right to shut it off. And if they haven't paid by November, we can re-levy it, or we can send it to the county and they levy it on their tax bill for their property. And then the county pays us the money. And then if they don't pay the county, or if they don't pay their taxes, they're foreclosed on. We don't have that option with ORDA.
No.
I don't know why they haven't paid it. The bill was in April. It's October 21st now, and they have a second bill that's in their hands.
Have they responded in any way to those bills? Have we gotten any correspondence or any feedback from ORDA in any way regarding them?
Prove that we own the lodge.
Whoa.
Prove that we own Joe Minder. That's the only response.
There's a hand,
Sterling?
Sterling.
I did.
Because I get to the point where I feel that I have to say something, and I'm not an opinion, I'm not on either side of this or any side of this. I'm here for the argument. That being said, a little bit of background, I think what Jim Jetson said is very important. Ownership of the building, you can get hung up on it all night. It's a secondary issue. If the debt is owed by contract, the debt is owed by contract, regardless of ownership. On the issue of ownership, I think it's counsel for the town had all of the paperwork and had a meeting with council before it. I frankly think it's quite clear that the history here is the old one lived here in the 60s and 70s. The so-called closed pavilion was originally called the green pot, where food transfers went on there. There was storage of town stuff there. It became the closed pavilion with some renovations and some thought as being an enclosed area for possible assistance to youth program. I got to be supervisor, I'm not sure when, maybe 2010 or 2011.
08,
Pardon?
08.
Oh, wait.
We had just moved here.
Thank you. So sometime in 08 or 09, my first year or so, I was brought into a meeting here in Henry Pond to discuss the closed pavilion. It was not called the Minder Lodge. At that meeting was myself as the new supervisor, Mike Pratt, who was the mountain manager at Ford, who later became the director of Florida, and then director of Warren County Economic Development. afford the two-story ski wall restoration, reconstruction process, which is everybody's dream. I threw out the idea to the insurance carrier, could we get the $36,000 back if we rebuilt it in fingerprint? We easily define what the fingerprint is. They gave me a verbal opinion that they would consider the closed pavilion in the fingerprint, and they would remit $36,000. I took that to the table. Mike Pratt said he would keep a crew on that would normally be laid off and extend that crew to do restorations to that building. Len Bosworth then said, and I forget the number, I either have $10,000 or $20,000 in the National Grid grant that I can cash your way.
Yep.
So what became the ski lodge was organized at that meeting without real cost to taxpayers at about an expense of $50,000 or $60,000. That is the original site of the town building, which was the cleaning hut, which then became the closed pavilion, ultimately became an unnamed ski lodge, and then became the Joe Minder Lodge when it was dedicated to Mr. Minder. Title to the building, though there are references to what's planned, or will own, the town will do this, the town will do that, or will own. Those references are not determinative. So if you actually do a title search, the town still owns the building. The question is, and why I'm saying I agree with Jim, what the town did was it entered into a use agreement. And I was part of some of that negotiation. In fact, the term was originally going to be 10 years, and already didn't like it because it was too quick. They weren't going to own it. They didn't want to only have it for 10. They pushed it for 20. That's how a lot of that happened. So the reason I'm saying that Jim's comment is important, whether Florida owns it or the town owns it, the real question is there a bill for the owner? And I think I can prove succinctly through a title search that the town still owns it and that they surrendered possession during my term in 2 6-month increments, one for summer youth program, one for exclusive board and ski operations, and that was renewed a couple of times. But I think the ownership is secondary to whether the building is due and owed. And I think it's a conversation between counsel for the town and counsel for Orta, perhaps with a representative from each agency present, and it being as open to the public as possible, certainly reported out at another meeting, but to try and avoid the confusion, I feel, and I concluded that the town still owns that building. But Jim's right, there's language all over the place, especially in the 8 permits. Some of it were written, but they were never acted upon because the building was never built. It does say the town will own, all right? As I said the other day, I could say, Susan and I will have a third child. Well, we didn't. We didn't.
Thank you for the humor. It was,
The intention all along when I was involved was that during that 6-month period of water operations, they had exclusive control of the building, exclusive use of the building, and I don't remember some of the details of what the utilities were. I have to look at the agreement, but it was all laid out.
I agree with you, sir.
The 2017 contract says utility costs associated with Orta recreational facilities. Orta will be responsible for all operating costs, including utility costs of Ski Bowl Base Lodge during the term of this agreement, including Johnsburg occupancy. Johnsburg shall reimburse Orta for any exceptional energy costs that occur during Johnsburg's occupancy. That's the 2017 agreement.
The one thing I wanted to add to the board is aware, when Orta got involved, the condition of the building was vastly inferior to what any of us had hoped. There was water damage, there was interior damage, and Orta really did a tremendous benefit to the town. The so-called cleaning hut / enclosed pavilion, I believe what got saved of it were footings, foundation, possibly some chimney work and things like that. A lot of the wood had rotted,
further argument about the ownership is that the town has to pay for those restorations in conjunction with Multnomah County.
In order to end up on the deed, you have to have a building permit, correct? Well, you said, you know, if you did a title search or a deed search for that. So, gotcha. Because when that was built, Orta hadn't become a self-permitting agency. So I don't believe any building permit had actually been taken out. They became,
It's an interesting topic and it's something that the board really ought to look at. I researched a bunch of stuff on the park, and most of you know, it came as a gift conveyance and
Mhm.
forever began by Gene in the 1930s. It had some language about it going into the town park entity, which kind of didn't exist. So in 1969, it got signed over exactly to the town of Johnsburg. So I looked at what's come out of that since then. The nursing home
sure.
came out of that. In 1946, I think 13 or 15 acres came out of the War Mountain Ski Corporation. For an old name now, that's Butler Cunningham's old company that ran the war in the 50s and 60s, so the T-bar, et cetera. And there were a few conveyances out to the water district. There's been no other deeds out. So if you look and you go to the county records, it gives you a deed number for the park, and all of those buildings sit on that deed.
So what's our action?
Well, I don't want to do the contract,
No,
No.
and I want to keep the ownership thing separate.
Right, that, we have to do that. We have to go forward with this in some manner. I don't know what other options we have besides the two that you presented. But, I mean, they need to be placed on notice that this is not going to be just allowed to continue on, that we have to get this resolved.
Well, I think if the issue of ownership is what has been holding it up, and that seems to be, I think that needs to be taken off of the table and needs to be cleared up as a separate issue. And we send the bill.
We sent one in April, we sent one in October.
But I think there somehow needs to be a separation of this issue of the ownership.
Right, so we send a bill.
Right.
We have. That's
But
the
it
problem.
does seem like there is still somehow this issue of ownership that is being a part of it. Candace?
You're just sending a bill for the April and October.
Yes,
I think if you go back to the records, you'll find that Orta was built for 6 months worth of electricity to reimburse the town every year. And as Sterling said, I think you'll find out in the water bills, because it's a town building, the town is paying the water bills.
and they shouldn't have. The contract says they pay all utilities. That's the point. That,
It's a town building.
again, the ownership is separate from the, yeah, no.
I'm asking you to go back and look through the records if they still exist.
Yeah,
Before you go and try to take further action.
the ownership is separate from the contract that we have with Orta. So
That's not the point, though. The point is that they pay the electricity.
they do pay you all the electricity for Joe Minder Lodge currently, year round. And they have done that all along.
Maybe the idea
The-
that they didn't get a bill for the water is because the town was paying the water and they were making.
right, but I think in the end, you know, once the auditor came in and saw where we were as far as the water district was concerned, the fact that they wanted to back bill, and the town said that's not a good idea.
Those bills were being paid. The town was paying those bills.
Town, I'm sorry, I did not understand what you were saying, Candace. Got it now. Okay. Now I got exactly what you, okay.
So the town was paying water bills that were Orta's obligation.
The town, well,
Contractually.
Yes, Sterling.
Just it may be more simple than we're making it. It may be a misunderstanding of the definitions of public utilities.
Hadn't thought about that one.
It might be a matter of just a
Phone
phone
call.
call instead of just sending paperwork out. Sometimes just calling people makes things a lot simpler than sending them a mail. So I would suggest as the supervisor,
I'll
Making a phone call.
Right, I would
I
prefer to
would-
see something like
yeah.
that.
make a phone call. And I think this, and separate the ownership issue, which may be
Well, just-
causing some things, and then just, I would do
Just-
that. And it may solve itself much more easily than we think.
Leases will say, you know, leaseor pays all utilities, but water is paid, you know, like, water is separate a lot of times from other utilities. So I'm just saying, it could have been a misunderstanding, I don't know.
I can make a phone call, I guess, tomorrow morning.
You would think that they would have come to us if they figured there was an understanding and to try to get it straightened out. That would be the other half of
Yeah.
their
But
lack
maybe we
of
have,
action.
but maybe we have to be the ones that take it in
Right,
this
well,
case.
right, and again, I don't think we should go about any radical action if we can do it with a phone call.
Right.
Yep.
Depending on the outcome of the phone call should be our next step.
Okay.
Passes. It's done. So the next park issue, ORDA issue. So ORDA needed to do 2 tests with their water system. One was for the firefighting. The other one was to test the domestic water in all their lodge. They approached me, asked if they could flush their systems, test to make sure there were no leaks, empty into the tanks at Joe Minder Lodge. I reached out to our engineer and I asked him about that. Our engineer said he didn't see any problem with it, but he needed to be there when the test is conducted. I also reached out then to the DEC to find out if there was any issues with using our system before it was complete.
Operation.
I was told there wasn't any issue with that. I asked about the water that ends up in the tank. Our engineer wanted the tanks emptied. The DEC said, yep, you need to pump and haul that water. It primarily being fresh water for humans. The reason that they wanted the water pumped and hauled was because it's domestic town water treated with chlorine, and their reasoning was that a large amount of chlorinated water discharged into the environment wasn't a good thing. I went back and I talked to ORDA. I let them know, yes, the test can happen. Our engineer needs to be there. You need to notify us so we can make sure that he's there, and it needs to be pumped and hauled. The test took place. The town wasn't informed, and you have the picture in front of you of the tank being pumped into the stormwater runoff. As opposed to being hauled. So, how do we want to handle this? One, lack of communication when we clearly told them that our engineer needed to be there. And now we have a discharge that should have been treated as wastewater. I did bring this up in a Zoom meeting with ORDA and the engineer, and the comment was if it happened that it was discharged, it wouldn't be a good look.
Again, you're facing the problem of, they're looking at, I can't say this for sure, but it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. It's just the easier way for them to do it. We are being trampled upon.
Again, I don't know if this person is an ORDA employee. I don't know if this person is a contractor. I don't know who this is, but it's obviously pumping out the town's recently installed holding tank into the stormwater drain.
Where's the stormwater drain?
If you follow the pump and you follow the pump line where the
Oh, right
water
there.
is,
There's a drain there.
yeah, that's a stormwater drain right there.
Well, did you find out who gave permission to do it? I think that's the first thing to find out.
Permission was not.
Well,
Given.
no, permission from ORDA. I think that's, follow who gave permission for this to be done from order. I think that's that's the next step.
First question was, did someone notify the DEC of an illegal dumping? Does it matter who did it?
No.
Somebody illegally dumped waste from an underground tank that we own into a storm drain. It's not just a bad look for Fordham if they told them to do it, it's a bad look for the town. So when does the DEC show up to find us? It's supposed to be our system that we're managing. Obviously, I can't be everywhere in our parks all the time, but as the person responsible for overseeing our parks and all of our public properties, this really pisses me off. At what point does the DEC call me or show up and want an explanation? I certainly wouldn't direct any of my staff to put anything down a storm drain. We've had those issues on Main Street with concerns over the sidewalk and treatment of the sidewalk when we had the sewage running down there.
Was indeed the DEC notified this occurred?
No, they have not been notified. No. Why not? Well, that's what we are sitting here
I
to
think that
decide.
we should at least notify them to protect the town's interest also.
We're walking a tightrope.
Yep.
We're walking a tightrope.
Yeah, that would be a good start.
When did this happen?
September 20th.
Yeah,
Has
September
anybody
20th.
spoken to order higher ups about this?
I brought it up
And
and they,
that's all I said was a bad look.
if that happened, that would be a bad look. Yes. That was the only response. I look at it as we have two options. We can have ORDA investigate, and if they are responsible, they can self-report to the DEC. And if it's their contractor that did this without their permission, they can report that contractor. I would ask that the town be in on all chains of emails that are there so that we can assure that it's being taken care of and addressed.
So that would be,
That makes no
Yep.
sense.
And I would say all town, the whole town board.
Absolutely.
Yep,
Yes,
everybody.
Absolutely. It raises the next question is, why weren't we notified that this test was happening when it was clearly stated that our engineer needed to be there? Why did that test go ahead and happen without notifying the town? Pumping is one thing, that is their contractors, they have a project manager. We've been very clear that we need communication. Another example is they flew concrete in. We were never notified that helicopters were going to be flying in our park, moving concrete. We were unable to notify bike trails or the bike groups that the trails were closed. Pete had his soccer goals blown all over and the fence on the Little League blown down. He could have very easily protected the town's property with advance notice, but no advance notice came. So it's been a perpetual problem of communication as to what's going on. This is an example, the towers are an example. This has repercussions.
Significant.
And we wouldn't know it unless our water operator had been over there checking to make sure that the water was still turned off. So our course of action is second conversation tomorrow, Kevin?
Yep, 2 conversations tomorrow morning.
Given all these facts, has Florida responded to you at all?
I have not, this is a conversation that will take place tomorrow morning, Arthur.
But even in the previous stuff, they've not responded to you?
Yes, they have. Yeah, they sent a memo to the board,
To the town?
to the town board. Yeah, from last week's, or last board meeting. That brings me, that's, is it available?
Yeah, we can make it available at town hall.
So that brings me to another issue. And it addresses the bond or escrow that I spoke about at the last meeting. I did misspeak. It was not a $500,000 bond that we requested. What we did request for was a $50,000 bond. We as a board passed a resolution authorizing Orta's Ski Bowl Lodge, lift, and summer attraction construction. This is passed by all of us unanimously. And in this resolution approving their construction, it says, whereas the town's approval is contingent on the issuance of a surety bond by Orta to the town or a deposit of $50,000 to be held in escrow to guarantee any park mountain biking, hiking, or recreational trails that need to be rerouted or repaired due to construction will be done by a member of the Professional Trail Builders Association. And additionally, to cover any other damage to park infrastructure, including but not limiting ball fields, roads, fencing, and buildings. This was a condition of their lodge. We as a board passed this. The response from Orta was a $500,000 escrow account or surety bond, and again, I misspoke, it's $50,000, was discussed as part of Town of Johnsburg's resolution to guarantee repairs for any damages incurred to the park's bike trails or infrastructure due to Orta's construction. Orta did not agree to such a bond. Instead, Orta hired Wilderness Property Management to complete any necessary trail restoration. The bond wasn't something that they agree or disagree with. It was a condition of them building and the resolution that we as a board passed.
That might be a language thing, Jim. It might be they didn't agree to the $500,000 bond. So there might need to be.
In the resolution was 50,000.
But I mean, that response,
Sure.
Orta did not agree to such a bond. Such a bond may be $500,000 surety bond. So it may be that they agreed to the $50,000 bond.
They haven't
But-
paid it.
They haven't paid, okay,
They haven't paid it.
okay.
The only thing they did was hire Wilderness Property Management. But their construction continues. And Wilderness Property Management isn't going to come on and repair bike trails.
Well,
We don't control the scope of that work. What the bond does is assure that a Professional Trail Builders Association completes the work and restores it back to what it was. And once that work is done, then we release the bond back to them, right? So it isn't a one or the other. And again, if fences get ripped because of helicopters or trails get damaged, it's not just bike trails, it's any damage that occurs to public property during this. And again, they haven't taken out a surety bond, nor have they put any money into escrow to cover those damages. Construction continues, and it will continue into the summer of next year. What do we do about this? When it was brought up with our attorney said, well, if it's in there, it's part of the resolution, then they're obligated.
Our attorney send them
I've
the
spent
next step kind of letter.
Again, it's when we're trying to work toward a partnership, going the legal route doesn't do that. Ignoring the obligations doesn't do that. So, what do we want to do?
Well, I'm not sure how it got to a year before this was.
It was brought up several times with Orta.
I will make phone calls tomorrow, and then I will bring it to the board at the next meeting.
The last item I have is the zip line cutting. There was a conversation uh, on that Zoom call where Orta wants to hike the zip line and wants to remove trees that could potentially fall on the line. And I asked,
Can you say that again, Jim?
they want to remove trees that could potentially fall on the zip line.
Okay.
They said, not as much as a lift line. And I said, well, what's a lift line? And they said, it's about 100 feet. And I said, so, what are you looking to cut? And I was scratching my head and I said, well, before anything happens, we need to have the other constituents of the park hike that. Pete, Upper Hudson Trail Alliance, representatives of them. They were kind of non-committal on how wide they wanted to cut. But I do have the APA permit for their zip line. And it says very clearly, vegetation removal for construction and maintenance of the zip line adventure system authorized tier N should not exceed a radius of 40 feet around towers and a width of 25 feet along the zip line, except for the removal of dead or diseased vegetation, rotten or damaged trees, or any other vegetation that presents a safety or health hazard. I would hope, and again, nothing's been cut, nothing's been marked. I would hope that a health and safety hazard isn't every tree that could potentially fall on that line. So we need to be very vigilant that that zip line is contained to a 25-foot wide corridor, which is 12 feet either side of the line.
Does DEC have any say in how this takes place, or is it because it's our park, it doesn't?
I don't know. No, probably not.
Okay.
That
I
would be
wasn't sure.
stormwater, but the APA permit is very clear that it should only be 25 feet wide. So I just want to make everyone aware that when cutting occurs, it shouldn't be any more than 25 feet. If there's some diseased trees, they can be taken down. I would insist, and I would hope the rest of the board, those are town property. The last time they did cutting for the towers, all of those trees were brought down, stumps were chipped. Anything that was not valuable was chipped. Firewood and timber were stacked separately. And I would ask that and hope that we can get assurances that that same thing will occur when the cutting of the line occurs.
We should also insist on somebody from the town, be it Peter or someone else, go with them and mark every tree they're gonna cut on our property.
That's,
Every tree.
yes, that is the plan.
We don't want another white face here where they go blasting through and make this huge thing without permits and make changes without anybody saying it's okay. We want to have some oversight on this. Every tree should be marked before it's cut.
That is the plan. I hope that we're able to do that soon.
When
I've
is the
reached
start
out.
date?
I don't know. That hasn't been communicated.
No, that was a conversation, actually, Jim said to the engineer from Orta, Kirk Bassar, he says, anytime you want to go like the trail, let me know. We'll have a few people join us. And I think that was 3-4 weeks ago, more longer than that.
It was before our last meeting.
But do they want to cut them now before winter, or do they want to cut them in the spring?
I'm not sure.
It hasn't
We
been
just want to make sure we know what they want to cut.
No, that makes sense.
Yep.
And that's a good idea.
Yep.
So in light of all this new information, if you went back to your other path with the contractual water thing, and this is the fault of the contract, you then have the ability to recreate a new contract between Florida and the town of Johnsburg?
Yeah, or Orta could just say, enjoy your lodge, and it's now your responsibility. And I don't think going that route is a productive route at this point. I think it's realizing that on both sides. The partnership hasn't been felt. We're working towards that. There's a lot of issues that need to be worked out as we progress. Communication needs to improve dramatically, and there needs to be mutual respect. So that would be what I would say. That's the take I would take.
And so the best path probably would be to add that language to the contract. Complete comprehensive contract.
Yep.
Not memos, right? Have a real contract.
Kelly?
I would suggest that with the coming of the summer activities, once they get the whole thing going, the full contract or memorandum of understanding or whatever it was last penned, I think in 8/17 or 18, should be seriously revamped, because there's language in that 17 agreement that basically says Florida has full use of the park anywhere in town. And, at one time, that's the way it was read. I was told it had been corrected, but I've never seen the corrected copy. But I think with the coming of summer activities, we're gonna have more things to deal with. We're gonna have to put in some wording in there that's gonna protect the park. New contract is probably very much important.
Probably.
That's my point.
Highway, moving on to highway. I want to, if you haven't, not many people usually drive down by the highway garage and look around. But I have been doing it quite regularly. At the edge of the door, so here's where you enter, but at the edge of the doors, there was an area, a mound of dirt, rock, some old culverts. There's some old bridge pieces that were there. Fred has done a fantastic job of cleaning that area up, removing all of that, opening it up. The bridge, giant bridge pieces are going to be used and stacked so that he can separate item 4 from cob rock, from all the different materials that he gets and utilizes. I look and I see some great progress there, Fred, and great work to you and your guys there. So thank you.
Well done. Okay.
Yep.
Privilege of the floor. Yes. He beat you to it, Judy. You're next. You're on deck. Grab that. Well, I'm.
With great trepidation, I'm taking advantage of the privilege of the floor. I'm Arthur Webb, a resident of Johnsburg. First of all, I want to thank Kevin, your opening remarks for the town board meeting in terms of your participatory approach to things. That's been really helpful over the last couple of years, so I want to thank you for stating that. Good news, Tannery Pond is having a Veterans Day concert by Dan Bergeron and Cedar Stanislaus Street, Sunday, November 9th. From 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. So which is fantastic. I've been working with the head of the Veterans Office in the county, Denise DeResta. She sent out 1,000 notices today to one part of the veterans list and the second part another 1,000. And it's up on their website. It's on our Facebook. So we hope to be able to do some work on that. In relationship to that, I talked to her about the veterans van that comes here once a month. To pick up seniors and veterans. We're going to try to work to make sure that's improved and people know about it. So that was a good call. The second piece, further information on the seniors committee. Pete has been working very hard with one of our volunteers, identified individuals, seniors who will be benefited from the Home Fit program, which is accessibility and improved safety. They're just about finished with those home visits. Our goal is to finish the repairs by Thanksgiving. In addition to that, Glenn Pearsall gave a private donation to ACOC to enhance our Home Fit program of $2,500. And Pete will be working as well as the seniors committee to certify whatever it is that we have to do, meet the requirements of ACOC. We appreciate that. Thank you, Sue. and the committee and the ACOC board. So that's really good, but allow us to, if indeed some of the cost of some of these renovations and repairs exceed what we got from AARP, then we'll be able to enhance that. And it's a pilot program. We're just learning. We're learning a lot about what it takes. Keep in mind also, almost all the seniors that have been identified, thank you, Anita, have come from the pantry as referrals. So there's really kind of good connections going on in the town. So again, that's the update from the seniors committee.
Ms. Brown.
Hi, I'm Judy Brown, and I oversee the reuse sheds, and I haven't talked about them in quite a long time. And over 2 years ago, we raised enough money to order an Amish shed, and we got like 25 volunteers. And since then, it has grown. We raised all the money for the first one, but I want to thank the board and also Pearsall Foundation for helping us financially with the second one. But I have to tell you, it is absolutely amazing. What we see, we have 20 now very dedicated volunteers. So, but they're busy. They're busy those 2 hours. The first day the furniture barn got there, we had like 4 dressers come in. In 3 days, they were all gone. We have given away more than 100, probably closer to 200 people have come in that take things every day. The donations are amazing. What people have, how generous everybody is wonderful. I also want to thank our supervisor because he went up there and on Sunday and stained the new shed. And he stained the first one too. So thank you very much, Kevin. Appreciate that. So, but thanks everybody for all your donations and all of the volunteer work. It's been a pleasure and everybody seems to like it. We don't seem to have any kind of conflicts. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Judy. Privilege of the floor. Well, yes, Pete.
I'm not gonna come down there, I'm gonna shout. Your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, the youth committee, Johnsburg Youth Committee will hold its annual Halloween party on Saturday from 5 to 8 p.m. Last year, we were down at Riverfront due to the ongoing sewer construction, we're gonna be at Ski Bowl Park. Pumpkin painting, costume contest, snacks, music, special performance by the Dancing Witches, hay maze. So if you can make it, like I said, come see us at Ski Bowl Park, 5 to 8, Saturday. The sign up is already closed, but at the same time that we'll be doing a family-oriented party over there, we are trying to get back to do something for our teens, our older kids in the community. So we are hosting the first ever, town-sponsored homecoming style masquerade ball here at Tannery Pond, same night, 7 to 11 p.m. Currently, there are over 70 students from Johnsburg, Minerva, and North Warren that have pre-registered to come.
Cool.
It's a collaborative effort between Tannery Pond, the youth committee, the town of Johnsburg. So should be a really fun day for all of the kids, younger kids, older kids, on Saturday. And thanks you guys for supporting that stuff.
Thanks for your hard work,
Thanks,
Pete.
thanks, Pete. Appreciate it. Anyone else for privilege of the floor? Going once, going twice. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I guess I'll be making some phone calls.